Hello and welcome to the Golden Playbook. Today we are going to be recapping week 8 of the NFL, seeing what our fantasy takeaways are. It was a huge bye week, so seeing what players stepped up and seeing what players we will get back for next week. Potential acquisitions before the trade deadline, both in real life and in fantasy, some buy lows, sell highs, some waiver pickups for the week, all that jazz, and we will be going game by game to recap this. If you like this kind of video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and help us grow. We'll start in the Jets-Bengals 39-38 shootout of a game. And the New York Jets are finally victorious, leaving us with none of the completely defeated teams. And the story of this one was, of course, Breece Hall, 133 yards, 2 scores on the ground. He added a passing touchdown late in that game, so an absolute smash spot for Breece Hall, who is going against this really battered Bengals defense, who we can keep continuing to attack, especially from the running back position, but also through the air as well. Justin Fields retained his starting job due to a Tyrod Taylor knee injury, went 244 and a touchdown, added 31 yards on the ground. They do have a week 9 bye, but they have yet to name a starter for week 10. Obviously no Garrett Wilson still in this game. Tyler Johnson stepped up, Mason Taylor stepped up, but you're really not feeling comfortable starting any receivers. You can make a case for Mason Taylor on a week-to-week basis. Depends who's quarterbacking, depends what the game script is, of course, but really nothing you're looking for in the passing game. And then Breece Hall will continue to cook in these good matchups, but when they play a tough defense, Breece Hall usually gets taken out of the game. On the Bengals side of things, Joe Flacco is continuing to dial in on Jamar Chase. Another 19 targets in this one, 12 for 91. Absolutely outrageous numbers. Jamar Chase is a smash start every time with Flacco at QB. On the ground, it is kind of an even split now between P. Ryan and Chase Brown. Both guys had good games, each scoring a touchdown. Both guys over 70 yards. Chase Brown also had a receiving touchdown. So this is a perfect sell high spot for Chase Brown if anyone in your league is buying. Obviously, it was against a bad Jets defense. And now P. Ryan has really kind of created a role for himself. So they're really splitting time in this backfield. If you can sell high on Chase Brown, I would definitely recommend doing so. T. Higgins came home partially due to a 44-yard touchdown, but he's just not receiving the targets from Joe Flacco due to Jamar Chase getting all of those targets. So you're continuing to start T. Higgins just because he's producing with Flacco, but you're really hoping that target share evens out a little bit moving forward. Next was a 30-16 Ravens win over the Bears, and Lamar was kind of a late scratch from this game. Tyler Huntley started and played very well. 186 and a touchdown through the air, added a nice 53 yards on the ground. He was a solid fill-in if you needed a guy for Lamar specifically. Derrick Henry, 2 touchdowns in this one. Still not a great, yards per carry or any of that jazz. Also not used in the receiving game, as we know. So he's a touchdown dependent back. Luckily, he got 2 scores in this one, but things will open up a little bit more once Lamar is back. Zay Flowers, a solid 7 for 63 on 9 targets. Again, all these guys are going to get bumps when Lamar is back, which should be next week. We really thought it was going to be this week, but it should be next week, although Tyler Huntley filled in good, and they got a must-needed win for that Ravens side. On the Bears side, this was kind of the Roma Doomsday that we saw at the beginning of the season, obviously. 7 for 114 on 10 targets. Very, very good. You're rolling them out every week, feeling good. DeAndre Swift, another competent game, 45 yards and a touchdown. Adds a couple of receptions, so he's just a solid RB2 at this point. Is kind of banged up a little bit, but hey, continue to roll him out. DJ Moore, 4 for 73, and he got missed on an open touchdown at the end of the game, which, wouldn't have done anything for the Bears, but it would have padded some stats for both Caleb and DJ Moore. DJ Moore's day could have been a little bit better. But with that being said, Olamide Zaccheaus continues to be kind of a focal point for this offense, which is really, really frustrating. Luther Burden did exit this game with a concussion, so that only increased Zaccheaus' role even further. Zaccheaus is very clearly Caleb's safety blanket underneath, which is kind of crazy considering he's like the 5th best option on this team from my standpoint. No Cole Kmet in this game, so we're expecting a bigger Colston Loveland outing. Only 3 for 38 on 5 targets. Got hit on the first play of the game for a nice 18-yard pass. We thought it was going to be a nice day. Just didn't end up coming home. I feel like this Bears team just has a lot of talent, and they're just not getting it done. This Ravens defense has been susceptible in the past. They are getting a little healthier. Unfortunately, I think the Bears are going to continue to kind of disappoint on a lot of fronts. Outside of DeAndre Swift, surprisingly, who's been the lone consistent piece, a little bit of inconsistency right now for this Bears offense. Next up is a surprising 34-10 Dolphins shellacking over the Falcons. And one-eyed Tua played very, very solid in this game. Woke up with a swollen left eye. No one knew why, but he ended up playing very, very well. Jalen Waddle does his thing, 5 for 99 and a touchdown. And he's been very good since Tyreek got injured for the season. Despite one bad weather game, he has produced at a very, very solid rate. So Jalen Waddle is usually a solid start depending on matchup, as long as Tua continues to play well. Achane, 67 yards on the ground, added 5 for 24 and a touchdown through the air. Ollie Gordon, a little bit more involved in this one, got 10 carries as well as a receiving touchdown. I don't think he's going to be too big of a threat to Achane's work, but does take away a little bit of his ceiling. Outside of that, Darren Waller did not play. Malik Washington caught a touchdown, but really there's no receiving options you're wanting to start over Waddle. And of course, Devon Achane on the Falcons side of things. Drake London was a late scratch in this one. Obviously no Michael Penix. So this was Kirk Cousins' outing to show what he still had in the tank, and it looked absolutely abysmal on all fronts. The Dolphins' run defense has been, bottom in the league, and Bijan had 25 yards on 9 carries. Obviously, very, very poor stuff. Tyler Algier vultured the touchdown late. Drake London was ruled out. Everyone was very high on Darnell Mooney, and he had a very sad 1 for 11 on 4 targets. Kyle Pitts kind of dominated, 9 for 59 on 9 targets. Really, really poor stuff out of that Falcons offense. Once Penix and London are back, they should definitely, pick up the pace a little bit. It's a bummer they missed this one because this was like a premium matchup against this Dolphins defense. But sometimes it just doesn't come together. I expect a big bounce back spot in the coming weeks for the Falcons. Next up, a 40-9 beatdown, Bills over the Panthers, and another guy getting kind of a late career start. Andy Dalton did not perform well whatsoever. Looked bad. Proved that Bryce Young should be the starter moving forward once the ankle is healthy. But on the Bills side of things, Josh Allen, again, did not really have to do anything, which is super frustrating for fantasy purposes. Obviously, you want him to be more involved. He did get 2 rushing scores, so it saves the day a little bit. But you're wanting Josh Allen to be more involved when you spent such an early pick on him. But as you can see, this was the James Cook show. Back to early season form here. 216 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Absolutely outrageous stuff out of James Cook. Dominated a Carolina run D that has been decent. I wouldn't say top of the line, but has been decent against opposing running backs. And James Cook just said, forget that. Again, not used in the receiving game. So when he doesn't explode on the ground, his ceiling is going to be capped due to the lack of receiving. But very solid stuff from James Cook, as you can see. The lone receiver to come home, Khalil Shakir, 6 for 88 and a touchdown. And that's the problem that I've mentioned over the course of the season. When the Bills are dominating a football game and Josh Allen only has 19 of pass attempts, the receivers are going to feel that lack of production. And obviously, it worked out for Khalil Shakir here. But Keon Coleman, 3 for 30. Dalton Kincaid, 1 for 23. It's just not going to be great stuff for, receiving options in Buffalo. They're just too dominant on the ground right now. They're not having to do much through the air. On the Carolina side, like I said, Andy Dalton, abysmal. Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard. Rico just looks like the much better back. Chuba Hubbard's longest rush of the day was 5 yards, yet he gets 12 carries and the touchdown. I expect Rico to just slowly kind of get more work. Their team is much, much better when Rico is out there on the field. Teteroa McMillan, a solid 7 for 99 on 10 targets. You'd love to see Dalton feeding him. Hopefully Bryce Young does the same when he gets back from injury. Jalen Coker starting to ramp up a little, 3 for 36. No one else really worth mentioning there on the Carolina side. We got to hope Rico Dowdle gets a little bit more work moving forward. He has just looked better than Chuba since coming back from injury. And another surprising outcome, 26-15, Texans over the 49ers. And this Texans offense might have found something despite Nico Collins being out with a concussion in this one. Woody Marks has been a very nice spark, 62 yards on the ground, obviously splitting time with Nick Chubb, who they keep persisting to get some work. Marks also had 4 for 49, through the air. Jalen Noel, 5 for 63. He's really stepped up and proven to be a solid rookie. I expect him to get more work down the stretch. Of course, he only works out of the slot and is only in on 11 personnel, but he has proven that he is very, very good. Barrios got injured in this one. Jaden Higgins, 4 for 34 and a touchdown. So we really have to see how this shakes up. Once Nico is back, he's obviously the alpha dog. We have to see if this Texans team kind of moves forward with these younger pieces, Noel and Higgins, or if they're going to stick with, Xavier Hutchinson. Obviously, Christian Kirk also not in this game, so they just have a lot of options. Jalen Noel kind of is the guy giving the most spark right now, but CJ Stroud has really found something. No sacks in this game, so maybe that O-line is gelling a little bit more as well. I think the Texans team is slowly on the rise there. And for the San Fran side, Mac Jones got another start. I expect Brock Purdy to be back soon, but San Fran really got dominated by this Houston defense, who has been very, very solid. George Kittle, 4 for 43 and a touchdown on National Tight End Day. Solid stuff. McCaffrey, 3 for 43. Just kind of a sad state of affairs. San Fran really needs, Pearsall and Ayuk back to give them a better threat on the outside. Jennings and Bourne are fine. They're just not the threat that Pearsall and Ayuk are. Kittle, you're continuing to roll out each week. He's going to get better, especially when Purdy comes back. He's definitely Purdy's guy, more than Mac. But 49ers offense is going to bounce back. Houston defense is very, very solid. So they are, kind of a matchup to look forward to, in the coming weeks. Whoever's playing Houston, kind of temper expectations a little bit. Next game, 38-20 win, Eagles over the Giants, and there is a lot to talk about in this game. We'll start with the worst of the news. Cam Skattebo, dislocated ankle, out for the season, which is really, really a bummer. Obviously, he was doing crazy good things, had a receiving touchdown before he exited this game, but it will be out for the season, meaning Tyrone Tracy is going to be the pickup of the week if he's not owned already in your fantasy league. If you need running back help, I would dump pretty much most or not all of my fab on Tyrone Tracy. He got damn near all of the workload once Skattebo is out. So Tyrone Tracy is a must pickup if he is available. On the other side, A.J. Brown did not play in this game with a hamstring, and Saquon Barkley left this game with a hamstring. Not before doing, obviously, 150 yards and a touchdown of damage on the ground, and 4 for 24 and a touchdown through the air. Tank Bigsby was kind of the next man up once Barkley went out. Obviously, 9 for 104. Solid stuff against a poor Giants defense. I expect if Barkley misses that Tank Bigsby will be the lead back. Eagles are on bye for week 9, so we'll have to see, what the team is looking like in week 10. With no A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith obviously stepped up. 6 for 84, 9 targets. Just going to be an awesome option whether A.J. Brown plays or not moving forward. Dallas Goedert continuing to score touchdowns this year. Another 2 scores here, so kind of a crazy season for Dallas Goedert, who really hasn't been a touchdown guy in the past, but has been so far this season. Jalen Hurts, a solid 179, 4 touchdowns through the air. Did not need to do much outside of that. 20 pass attempts, kind of the max there. On the Giants side of things, they're really lacking kind of an alpha dog receiver since Malik has went down with injury. I'll be interested to see if they pick anyone up at the trade deadline or if they just roll with these guys. Wandale, only 4 targets, 3 for 48. Not great. Jackson Dart continues to kind of do the best he can. Accounted for 2 total touchdowns. I think he is a fine option. With Skattebo being out now, I don't like him nearly as much. But like I said, pickup of the week is Tyrone Tracy if he's available on your wire. Next up, a 32-13 victory. Patriots over the Browns. And Drake May continues to be that dude. 282 and 3 scores, adding 50 yards on the ground. He has just been an absolute smash for fantasy up to this point. As you can see, Travion Henderson finally got it going a little bit, 75 yards on 10 carries. But if I know, that Patriots coaching staff like I do, Ramondre Stevenson is not going anywhere. Got 14 carries in this one. He's going to continue to have the workload. I don't care what Travion Henderson showed in this game. Ramondre will continue to be involved. So don't get too excited. I don't think Henderson is a must start by any means. And for the receiving room, outside of Kayshon Boutte, who continues to get it done, 3 for 75 and a touchdown, It's very, very unpredictable. Diggs did score a touchdown to save his day just a little bit, but Matt Collins, a random 7 targets in this one. Demario Douglas caught a long ball. Hunter Henry got 1 target, 1 catch, 1 touchdown. So, like I said, the receiving options outside of Booty really are very, very unpredictable and hard to kind of decide who's going to have a good game. It's hard to stack players with Drake May, but Drake May himself continues to be very, very solid for fantasy. On the Browns side of things, they're just really protecting Dylan Gabriel. He is not pushing the ball down the field much. When he did in this game, he was successful, hit Fannin on a nice touchdown pass. Fannin was kind of the lone bright spot, 6 for 62 and a score. As you can see, Gabriel really likes to throw to the tight ends, 4 for 37 and a touchdown for Njoku, which obviously doesn't make well for Jerry Jeudy. Any of the receivers on this team, just it's not a recipe for success right now. On the ground game, Judkins obviously not a very solid game, and Judkins exited the game with a shoulder sprain. This is another team on bye for week 9, so we'll have to see if his health is good for week 10. If not, Dylan Sampson was very, very involved. Definitely the RB1 if Judkins misses time. Next up, a 23-3 Bucks win over the Saints, and the Saints, all sorts of issues. Let's start on the Bucks side of things. Bucks need some guys to get healthy. I'll tell you that much. I know they scored 23 points and won pretty handily, but it is just not pretty right now. On the ground, Rachaad White, obviously does not look very good. Sean Tucker really split snaps in this one, 42 yards and a touchdown, outplayed Rachaad White for the most part, but they need Bucky Irving back in a bad way. Through the air, Tez Johnson, 5 for 43, Otten 4 for 40. Ibuka got 9 targets, only 3 for 35. I think he's still battling that hamstring a little bit, has been fighting through it though. They just very clearly didn't need to do very much. The Saints set them up with some short fields thanks to some Rattler turnovers. And Rattler played bad enough that they gave Tyler Shuck a start in that second half. Obviously wasn't much better, but begs the question, who is going to start in the coming weeks? Is it going to be Rattler? Is it going to be Shuck? We will have to see. They couldn't get anything going on the ground against that stifling Bucks defense, who is one of the tops in the leagues. Kamara, 21 yards on 6 carries, and continues to be a two-headed show in the receiving room. 12 targets apiece for Shaheed and Olave, 9 for 75, 8 for 63. Saints are a team that's going to be trailing a lot. These guys are good for some garbage time points. Olave, especially, just due to the talent, is going to be a good start. And Shaheed will be a solid flex start, when you pick your spots correctly there. Just uninspiring stuff out of the Saints. We'll have to see who they turn to quarterbacking in the coming weeks. Another week, another Colts dominant offensive performance, 38-14 Colts over the Titans. And very clearly, Jonathan Taylor is in the MVP discussion for good reason. 153 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, adding 2 for 21 and a receiving score through the air. Just, the ultimate league winner up to this point. Jonathan Taylor has been fantastic. Daniel Jones continues to get the job done. 272 and 3 scores, 8 for 95 and a touchdown to Michael Pittman, who is the lead guy in this one. Tyler Warren, probably one of his quieter games of the season, 4 for 53. He's borderline tight end 1, tight end 2 for the rest of the season. But for the rest of the options, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, in games where they're dominating, they're not going to be used nearly as much, as you can see here. Quieter games, even though Downs scored the touchdown. But Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Pittman, Tyler Warren, all guys you're rolling out every week as very comfortable starts in your lineup. On the Titans side of things, Tyjae Spears starting to kind of earn himself more of a role and looking better than Tony Pollard. 59 yards and a score for Mr. Spears. Pollard owners, not great, obviously. And one thing I will say, Chimere Dike, who I kind of wrote off last week, I said I'm not putting much stock into his good game. I am reversing the script. I will admit when I'm wrong. DK is looking like a very, very solid receiver. He's originally getting it done in the kick return game, and it is carried over to being a very, very solid receiver. Even once Calvin Ridley comes back, I think Chimere DK has earned himself a solid role. I know this Titans offense is pretty bad, but I think DK is worth a roster spot on your team and can fill in for buys. They're going to obviously be down in a lot of games, a lot of pass attempts. Chimere DK has looked like a lone bright spot on this Tennessee side. Cam Ward, Not much to say at this point. It's not pretty, hasn't been pretty all year. Really need some things to turn around for that Titans offense. Next up, a 44-24 win, Broncos over the Cowboys. And obviously, theme of the year, any offense going against this Cowboys defense is a must start. Smash spots for everyone involved. Bo Nix, solid day. J.K. Dobbins got it done on the ground, just didn't score, unfortunately. R.J. Harvey had 3 total touchdowns in this game. But if I know Sean Payton like I think I do, that does not mean he will get any more work moving forward. His role will be the same. And obviously the star in the receiving game was Troy Franklin in this one, 6 for 89 and 2 touchdowns, leading the team in 8 targets. Anyone against this Cowboys defense is just a smash spot. 4 for 67 out of Cortland Sutton. Obviously would have loved to see one of those touchdowns go to him, but that's just how it goes. On the Cowboys side of things, obviously went against this tougher Broncos defense. Javonte got it done, 2 touchdowns on the ground in a revenge spot against his former team. Pickens and Lamb are going to be, the main guys moving forward, which unfortunately comes at the expense of Mr. Jake Ferguson. Now that Lamb's back, we were kind of deciding, is it going to be Pickens or Ferguson as that number 2? In this game, it happened to be Pickens. We'll see if that is a continuing trend moving forward, if Ferguson's value will kind of deplete now that Lamb is back in the lineup. Obviously, Cowboys offense is high-powered. When they're going against a team other than the Denver Broncos, they will be just fine moving forward. And finally, the Sunday night football game, 35-25 win, Packers over the Steelers. And Aaron Rodgers' first game ever playing against the Packers. Jordan Love, very, very good. 360 and 3 scores. Obviously, Tucker Kraft was the star of the show. 7 for 143 and 2 touchdowns. He continues to eat every week. He's a top 3, top 4 tight end rest of season. Josh Jacobs very clearly is not 100%. He is 33 yards on 13 attempts. Did get the rushing score, but just does not look very explosive, not breaking many tackles. Hopefully Josh Jacobs gets his health back a little bit. And it's also evident giving Emmanuel Wilson 11 carries doesn't happen unless Josh Jacobs is still a bit banged up. Christian Watson first game back, 4 for 85 on 4 targets. This only adds to a very cramped receiver room, and this was the game Dontavian Wicks did not even play. So outside of Tucker Kraft, it's going to be very hard to pinpoint which Green Bay receiver is going to have a good game moving forward. But this offense is very, very dynamic. On the Steelers side of things, Jaylen Warren is kind of back to his full role, 62 yards on the ground, 2 receptions for 11 yards. This is really a down game for him. I think he's going to be very much involved moving forward. DK Metcalf, 5 for 55 and a score. Roman Wilson, 4 for 74 and a score. Let's see, if Roman Wilson can get involved as the wide receiver 2 in this offense, that'll definitely be something to look at, although I'm not fully believing that that'll be the case. Like I've said pretty much every week, outside of Jaylen Warren, I'm not really comfortable starting any of these Steelers, wide receiver options. Obviously don't want to start Aaron Rodgers very often, doesn't run the ball. So Warren is kind of the lone piece that I like on the Steelers offense. Obviously DK has continued to kind of get it done, scoring touchdowns, but when he doesn't score, it's not great. So the Steelers are kind of a stay away team for me personally. And finally, Monday Night Football, a 28-7 victory. Chiefs over the Commanders, and the Chiefs offense continues to hum ever since they got Rice and Worthy back. Kareem Hunt, a couple of scores in this game and 40 yards on the ground. Another thing to note, Isaiah Pacheco did bang up his knee at the end of this game, so we'll have to see what his status is for next week. So if Pacheco is out, Kareem Hunt will be a very solid play, a guy who already gets a lot of the goal line work. For the receiving options, Rashee Rice obviously did his thing, 9 for 93 and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, a nice game, 6 for 99 and a touchdown. And Xavier Worthy, 5 for 53. Could have been better, had the 7 targets. He is the one of the big 3 between Kelce, Rice, and Worthy that is not feasting as much since Rice has been back. A lot of the ancillary pieces, Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown, have also taken a seat back. But as I said before Rashee was coming back, he's going to be, one of the top 3 wide receivers for the rest of the season. His skill set and Patrick Mahomes' skill set just mesh so well. This Chiefs passing attack is one you are going to want to continue to have pieces of. On the Commanders side of things, McLaurin and Debo were back for this game. But it didn't really matter as Jaden Daniels didn't play. And listen, I think Mariota honestly played pretty good given the circumstances. They just lack a lot of juice without Jaden Daniels in the lineup. They couldn't get anything going on their ground against this tough Chiefs defense. Mariota was the leading rusher. Bill only had 25 yards on 9 carries, so really tough to see out of that. McLaurin had a couple of nice catches, including a touchdown pass. Jeremy McNichols really involved in the passing game in this one as well. He has been the third down back. I don't think he's really rosterable in your regular leagues, but it really puts a damper on Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt's value overall. And listen, I hope things get better for McLaurin and Debo once Jaden Daniels get back, but I'm just not 100% sure that'll happen. They're just not a very fluid, efficient offense, especially against a tough defensive matchup. So maybe when they get, Dallas or somebody like that, they will really spread their wings and fly. But that is going to do it for Week 8's recap of the NFL slate. I can't believe we are already basically halfway through the season. I hope everything is going well for you. I hope you are in line to make your fantasy playoffs. This is the real push here. Weeks 9 through 12, a lot happens in these 4 weeks. So let's get dialed in. Make sure you subscribe so you can stay tuned for all of the content. Make sure you like, comment down below. Appreciate all of the love and support. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.